So I am on page 264, if anyone's following along. If not, you can just watch up here. Remember, what we've been doing is trying to get common denominators. We've been trying to get common denominators. We've been trying to get common denominators. Because remember, if you're going to add up, like for instance, 1/7 plus 2/7, in order to add those fractions, you have to have the same denominator. You can only add sevenths with sevenths, thirds with thirds. So if you have the same denominator, remember, what do you do if you're going to add those then? What do you do to the denominator? Say nothing. What do you do to the denominator? Nothing. If you're adding sevenths to sevenths, you're going to end up with sevenths, right? If you're adding apples and more apples, you're going to end up with apples. So when you add up fractions, the denominator doesn't change. If you're adding sevenths to sevenths, you end up with sevenths. So that stays the same. On top is where you add 1 plus 2. What is 1 plus 2? 3/7, right? So I'm guessing you can do that. Well, since this is algebra class, you have to throw in some letters. They're watching a video next door. So we're going to throw in some letters. But same idea, your denominator is already the same at 16ths. That doesn't change. You're going to end up with 16ths. On top, 3c plus 5c. What is 3c plus 5c? Hopefully we know. Right, good, yes, 8c over 16. Is that reduced? I don't think the breathing gun is here. Is that reduced, Mason? No. What can you divide by? 8. Divide by 8, divide by 8. Divide by 8, divide by 8. And what does that give you? 1c over 2 or c over 2. I don't care which way you write that. One of those two. Yes? You could do that? You could do that, I hope. How about this one? 5x plus 4 over 10 plus 2x plus 1 over 10. I'm going to have 10 when I'm all done, right? 5x plus 4, and I'm adding 2x plus 1. I'm going to end up with 10 on the bottom. Now what do I do? You guys are on fire today. Now what do? You have to add like terms. I have 5x and 2x. What does that give me? 7x. And I have a 4 plus 1. Here's where you have to be careful. Everybody always wants to cancel these, but it's plus. Can you cancel if it's plus? Can you cancel if it's plus? Shake your head. Can you cancel if it's plus? No, you cannot cancel if it's added. So right there, that would be your answer. You can cancel if it's multiplied. This is times, so you can cancel. But if it's adding or subtracting, You cannot cancel. Adding and subtracting, no. So anybody with questions so far? Here's where you have to be careful. 5x plus 4 over 10. Take away here's where you're going to have to be careful. Here's where it might be a good idea to put parentheses. Parentheses. It doesn't look like it's that hard to start off with, right? It's already a 10 under there. I got 5x plus 4. Take away 3x minus 8. The problem comes in when you're subtracting this whole thing. You're going to forget to subtract the whole thing. 5x plus 4, that won't be a problem. But right here, you have to subtract both of those. You're subtracting this whole thing, which means not only do you subtract the 3x, everybody will remember that part, but you also have to subtract the negative 8. You have to subtract the negative 8. What do you do when you subtract a negative 8? Hey, Lucy, what do you do when you subtract a negative 8?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
What are we doing?
We're adding. Well, if you subtract negative 8, you have to add it. I heard you. Just as loud as these people. I think they're not breathing. So what do you do if you subtract negative 8? You have to add it. All over 10, right? Right? And everybody's going to remember to subtract that one, but they're going to forget to subtract that negative 8. Don't forget to subtract the negative 8. And now, once you do that, minus and minus, now you just combine the like terms again. 5x, take away 3x, what's that? And I've got a 4 plus an 8. Do you notice? What goes into all of those? 2. So is it right that I could factor out a 2 up here? If I factor a 2 out of there, it's x. 2 times what is 12? So really, it's 2 times x plus 6 over 10. What could you do if it's times? You can reduce if it's times, right? If it's times, you can reduce. This was adding. We can't. But this is times. So you can divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1 times x plus 6. If you want to put a 1 up there, you can. What's 10 divided by 2? 5. So that would be your simplified answer. Are we good so far? But now what happens if you don't? I have x over 4. I have x over 4. Take away 5 plus 12x. Is there a common denominator there? ones I did so far, they already had a common denominator, right? My string alone. There. Everyone we did so far had a common denominator already. It had 10 and 10. It had 10 and 10, 16 and 16, 7 and 7. Now, 4 and 18. You need to get a common denominator. You need to get a common denominator. Hey, can we see? You need to get a common denominator. While you're thinking about what it will be, x over 4, 5 plus 12x over 18. I have a 4. I have an 18. What would my common denominator be? You guys are on fire today. Do you know what the common denominator is? He says 36. Is he right? All you have to do is shake your head. Is he right? 36, yes. 36. And by the way, see that? I would put parentheses around that. What did you multiply? 4 times what is 36? Good. Times 9 times 9. I think that would be 9x. 18 times what is 36? Right. And I think for now, I would just leave this as 2 times 5 plus 12x. So that's where we left off yesterday. Now we're actually going to take these. What is x over 4? The equivalent fraction is 9x over 36. Take away this one, the equivalent fraction, 2, 5 plus 12x over 36. Now, if I were you, I would write this out like this. Before I try to do too much in my head, I would actually write out 9x, take away this stuff. See that? I would write it out like that. Because remember, you're going to have to multiply this out. It's subtract all of this stuff. And if you start skipping and trying to do too much in one step, you're going to forget that it's negative 2 times both of those. So 9x minus 10, negative 2 times 12x is minus 24x all over 36. Like terms, I have 9x, take away 24x. Oh, geez. Is that 15? Negative, I think. Minus 10 all over 36. I think we're good. You can factor a 5 out of that if you want, but 5 doesn't go into 36, so I don't think I'd bother, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And today, I believe, we have all, we're gonna do the ones with, number. Denominators. And then tomorrow, we'll do the ones with letters. So, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Do you have questions? Are there any questions? Does anyone have a question? So we got 1 through 8 and 23 through 30. That'd be page 267. Page 267. Page 267. WE. What did I just say? 1 to 8, 23 to 30. And I believe those should all have denominators with numbers, not letters. They should all have denominators with numbers, not letters. And then tomorrow, we shall do letter denominators. Page 267. Oh, didn't take them long to get off.